Exploring ALS in Tuesdays with Morrie. What is there to explore? What is ALS? What can we learn from the unique perspectives of ALS patients? Let's talk science. ALS is a degenerative disease that progressively destroys motor neurons, the nerve cells responsible for voluntary muscle movement. Over the course of 2 to 10 years, motor neurons die off and stop sending signals to muscles, which gradually weaken. About 5,600 people are diagnosed with ALS every year. In the US, 93% of patients are white and 60% are men out of up to 30,000. It's important to remember that these numbers represent reported cases of ALS, not necessarily all cases. In 2018, 64% of American physicians were men and 56% were white. The healthcare industry, a field dominated by white men, is notorious for ignoring or downplaying complaints from people of color and women. Symptoms of ALS can initially include weakness or impairment in the use of arms, legs, hands, and in the mouth or tongue and swallowing muscles, leading to slurred speech and uncontrollable twitching and cramping in extremities. ALS often starts in the legs and eventually reaches the lungs, giving the patient difficulty breathing, which is usually fatal. What can Tuesdays with Morrie teach us? In Tuesdays with Morrie, author Mitch Albom explores life and death with ALS through his close personal relationship with Morrie Schwartz, his old Brandeis sociology professor. The book illustrates Schwartz's progressive physical, emotional, and mental journey due to ALS. Morrie Schwartz was a sociology professor at Brandeis for nearly 30 years. He loved the role of teacher and wanted to continue giving lessons as long as he can. He had a close relationship with Mitch and continued to teach him after ALS kept him from continuing at Brandeis. Mitch, who narrates the story, begins with a flashback to his 1979 graduation from Brandeis University. After giving his favorite professor, Morrie Schwartz, a gift, he promises to keep in touch. 16 years later, Mitch has failed to do so and forfeited his dreams to be a musician in favor of a well-paid journalist position in Detroit. He feels unsatisfied and unfulfilled. He promises his wife they'll have children, but spends most of his time engrossed in work. It is in this mindset, flipping listlessly through TV channels, that Mitch recognizes his old professor on Nightline. Morrie is being featured for his ALS diagnosis, a disease described by Mitch as leaving your soul perfectly awake, imprisoned inside a limp husk of a body. Moved by Morrie's diagnosis, Mitch reconnects with Morrie and travels from Detroit to West Newton, Massachusetts to visit with him. After a union strike at work allows him the time, Mitch decides to schedule taped visits or lessons with Morrie every Tuesday. In his lessons, Morrie emphasizes love and human connection above all. Without love, we are birds with broken wings, he says, confiding in Mitch that he didn't think he could live with ALS without his loving family and friends. Morrie also gives Mitch advice on living a fulfilling life, once again highlighting love as the way to do it. Devote yourself to loving others, devote yourself to your community around you, and devote yourself to creating something that gives you purpose and meaning. Morrie abhors America's individualistic culture and encourages Mitch to create for himself a culture of love or of giving to others. I'm dying, right? He asks. But giving to other people is what makes me feel alive. When I give my time, when I can make someone smile after they were feeling sad, it's as close to healthy as I ever feel. He finds a new meaning of love in being fully present and engaged with everyone he talks to. That means you should be with the people you're with, the person you're with. I'm talking to you, I'm thinking about you, he says. I would rather put my energies into people. Morrie also advises that Mitch must accept death. That's what we're all looking for, a certain peace with the idea of dying. If we knew in the end that we can ultimately have that peace with dying, then we could finally do the really hard thing, make peace with the living. Morrie's unique perspective on death is valuable yet difficult to accept. Once again, he offers some solace in love. As long as we can love each other and remember the feeling of love that we had, we can die without ever really going away. All the love you created is still there. All the memories are still there. Even as he lost his body, Morrie maintained a need for physical closeness and human contact. Multiple times in the novel, Albom describes his old professor's constant excitement for hugging, kissing, and general closeness with his friends and family as the disease progressed. Morrie also enjoyed hearing about his friends' problems and offering emotional support when he could. But most of all, Morrie tried to pass on the value of love to Albom, and through him, the world he'd be leaving behind. Morrie knew his place in the world, a teacher. He did his best to accept death as it approached and love with all his heart while he remained. You live on, Morrie reassures Mitch, in the hearts of everyone you have touched and nurtured while you were here. Mitch Albom published Tuesdays with Morrie after Morrie's death in 1995. Morrie's lessons are still being told in books, movies, and plays, and perhaps most importantly to Morrie, by Mitch. And here's a quote from him that says, "When someone is in your heart, they're never truly gone. They can come back to you even at unlikely times." Thanks for watching.